All right, so now here we are. We finished our inventory worksheet, right? We got to take a look at what happens when we have our purchase returns and allowances and how it affects our calculations of the net purchases and goods available. And we also got to calculate from the cost of goods sold standpoint, right? When we include whichever batch that we start off with, right? Because we were doing FIFO. We originally had 1,000, but we returned 200. So therefore we calculated 800 and so on and so forth. So now we finally calculated our cost of goods sold to be 1726, and we also solved for our ending inventory to be 2044. So now we finished the inventory worksheet. We have one last thing to do. We need to enter in our journal, our conversion entry. So what am I going to recognize first?
Inventory.
You're going to recognize inventory. Good. Excellent. What else?
Cost of goods.
Cost of goods sold. Good.
Credits and amounts.
Credits and an amounts. What do you mean? What's that?
Are we going to recognize the purchase returns?
Purchase returns on the debit or the credit side?
Oh, so we're working on the debit side. So yeah, I think that's it on the debit side.
Excellent. Purchase returns and allowances. Good. What else are we going to recognize?
Freight.
Okay, freight.
Oh wait. Yes. Freight.
Yeah, that's one of them. And purchase expense. That's yes. Okay, so let's go ahead and fill in our table or our information here. So what was my ending inventory? What was our ending inventory? 2044. Okay. What was my cost of goods sold?
$17.26.
Yes, 1726. What was my total purchase returns and allowances? 242.50. Okay. What was my total purchases? $3,862.50. And what was my total freight? $150. So let's go ahead and confirm that our debits match our credits. So equals sum. Okay, so I got $4,012.50 on one end, and I also have $4,012.50 on the other end. Okay, so good. So good thing that we look at this. So we have a purchase expense and a freight expense. One common thing is that Felipe recognized that we also have to include our purchase returns and allowances. But instead of doing it on the debit side, the credit side, we're going to put it in the opposite direction from the purchase expense, right? So here he recognized that you're going to have to put it in the debit side, right? to equal up our total expenses and our total freight. Okay, because now that's another bucket that we need to place, right? We need to put one in inventory, one for the things that we sold, and one for the returns. Okay, so good job. All right, and our debits match our credits, and it's going to equal up our grand total of purchases. Okay, any questions about this one? Okay, so let's go see what happens next. So question number 3 says that we're going to continue the inventory from question number 1. Okay, and your inventory method is still periodic and it is still FIFO. However, we have beginning inventory, right? On June 30th, you should have a total of 1250 units on hand or toys on hand. So first things first is we're going to recognize our inventory, our ending inventory. We have a total of 1250 units. Now, if we look at our batches carefully, right, we still got some from our second batch of the 850, right? We only took 680 out of it. So we still have something in there. Plus we have our 500, plus we have our 600 still available. So with three things that we have left over, we're going to carry it over to our second inventory worksheet. Starting from the first one, which we made a purchase of the 850 units, right? We're going to do that one, but we also have to keep the new calculation, right? Because this time, 850 minus 680, we should have 170 remaining. And I'm going to copy and paste over that little section over there, right? From my question number 1, right? Because we had to compute a new cost per item to be 1.88235. That's going to be carried over. And that should equal, let me do equal round. So equal round. Comma 2. That should equal $219. Excuse me. Okay, $219. Right?
My internet was lagging a little bit. Where did we get the 170 from?
170, right? We originally purchased 850 from that batch, right? But we sold 680 of them. Remember that? So we're just carrying over the remaining amount. Yes, because we have beginning inventory, so we're moving everything from the previous worksheet and moving it into our inventory, our new inventory worksheet. Right? We also need to recognize that we made a purchase here on June 20th. We purchased 500 units. However, what did we return? We returned 20 of them. So in reality, how many items do we actually still have?
480.
We have 480. So I'm going to place that here just to remind you. We had 500 minus 20, 480. Okay? So this is where we also have to recalculate our new cost per item for this particular batch as well. So in this case, what was my total cost to begin with for this one? My total cost that I purchased for that 500 items was at $775, right? And now we made a refund, right, for $30. So we should have a total of $745, right? The $775 from the original purchase minus the $30 for the refund to give us a grand total of $745. Okay? And then once again, because if in case we only need a couple items from this batch, we need to recalculate our new cost per item because now we have a change in quantity and we have a change in total cost. So in this case, I'm going to take my cost per item, which is going to be my $7.45, and I'm going to divide it by my $4.80 to give me a total cost per item to be 1.55208, and so on and so forth. Okay. And then lastly, we also need to carry out our last batch that we purchased on the June 25th for 600 items at $1.75 plus the freight to give us $1.80. So this one, we didn't make any changes to it because when we purchased it, nothing happened. No additions to it, no returns, no allowances for it. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and transfer the 600 items at $1.80 each. Okay, so here we have brought over 600 items at $1.80 to make it become $10.80. Okay, so I'm going to sum up this total just to confirm that this information is correct. Does my total ending, or I guess beginning balance, reflect my ending balance from the previous worksheet? So in this case, did my quantity match up? Yes, it is $12.50. Okay. And then I'm going to make sure that my costs match up as well for $244 or $2,044, which is correct. That's exactly what we had. Okay, so that needs to match up on both ends, on the beginning of your worksheet, on your new worksheet, and also the ending balance on your previous worksheet, because we solved for the ending balance to be 2,044 for the 1250 items. Okay, so now we can go ahead and proceed to our purchases. Okay, any questions on how I got these? No? Okay. All right. So I just basically carried the batches over into the other to the new worksheet. So let's look at the scenario here. So on July 5th, I purchased 500 units at $1.65 each, with the freight costing me $25. Okay, so 500 toys at $1.65. So again, from here on out, everything that we journalize is going to be rinse and repeat. So I don't need you guys to do this part, but I do need you to make sure that we journalize the very ending portion, which is the conversion entry. That's the most important one. But for now, I don't need you to practice purchases. I don't need you to practice returns and allowances, because essentially it's going to be rinse and repeat. It's going to be the same stuff as the previous one, except just different numbers. Okay, so this one we're going to go directly into our inventory worksheet. So 500 toys at $165 with a freight of $25. Okay, so question 3. We are on July 5th, purchasing 500 units at $1.65 each with a freight of $25. Yes, purchase 500 at $1.65 with a freight of $25. So I'm going to reformat my page real quick, but tell me, what is going to be my total purchase price? $8.25, so it's going to be my 500 times my 165 to be $8.25, plus my 25 to give me a total cost of $8.50. All right. Now we're going to recalculate, or at least calculate, my cost per item. So what is my cost per item here? 170 even. Okay. I'm just going to pull it forward just so then you guys know that this is even. Okay. So then what has happened next?
Purchased 800 toys at $1.80
Okay.
on July 10th.
Okay, July 10, 800 at 180, freight of costing you 40. So here, July 10, 800 units at $1.80 with a freight of 40. So what's my total purchase price?
1440.
1440. All right, plus my $40 freight to give me a grand total of
1480.
1480. My cost per item is going to be
185.
185 even. Perfect. Okay. So then what has happened next on July 11th?
You had a return.
We returned 100 defective toys for a full refund. Okay? So once again, assuming this came from the previous batch, what am I going to do with this 100 items?
Down to the returns, allowances, and discounts.
Correct. So we returned 100 items at what cost?
$1.80.
$1.80. Okay? So what is my total that I'm expected to get a refund for?
$180.
$180. Okay? Good. So now, what has happened on July 20th? We purchased an additional 300 toys at $1.85 with the freight costing $15. So, question 3. July 20th, we purchased 300 units at $1.85 with a freight of $15. Okay. July 20th, 300, $1.85, $15. So what is my total purchase price here?
555.
$555, 555, and plus my freight to give me a total cost of
570.
$570. Okay, bringing my total cost per item to be
$1.90.
$1.90. Ooh, we're giving even numbers. I like it. Okay. So what happened on the 21st of July?
You returned 50 toys that were the wrong color and accepted a 20% discount.
So I am returning 50, but somehow the vendor convinced me to keep it and give me a 20% discount. So how do I solve for this?
50 times $1.85.
So again, we're not, okay, good.
And then take it times 20% discount.
Correct. So $1.85, okay? So here's my formula. I'm going to take 50 times it by the $1.85, and then I'm going to times it by the 20%. So I should get a grand total of $18.50. Good. Right? Remember, no changes to quantity because they convinced us to keep it. So it's going to be equal because we're trying to attempt to return 50 of the items. We can only take a discount off of the 50 items because they made a mistake off of those 50 items. They didn't make a mistake on the whole entire batch.
So you're just gonna multiply the quantity times the unit price.
In this case, there is no quantity because we're not returning anything. So you do have to type it into the formula. You can't self-reference this one. So I typed mine in straight away. I just took 50 times the 1.85 times the 20%. Hey. Okay, so what do I get here? What's my total here? Oh, never mind. Melinda, you already answered it, 1850. Okay, so now that we have that, what happened next on July 25th? We purchased another 100 toys at $1.75 with a freight costing $5. Okay. So here, question number 3. On July 25th, we purchased 100 toys at $175 with a freight of $5. So what is my total purchase price here?
75.
175 plus 5. Total cost 180. Bringing our cost per item. Bringing our cost per item to be $1.80. Okay. Excellent. So then, last but not least, what happened here on July 31st?
You have 600
Toys on
toys on
hand.
600 toys on hand. So I'm going to go here and bring it down to the bottom and say I have 600 items left. Okay, 600 items. All right, so let's go ahead and calculate our totals up here. So let's solve for how many items we made a grand purchase of.
1,700.
We purchased 1,700 items. Good. What was my total purchase price?
$29.95.
$29.95. What was my total freight?
85.
85. And then what's my total cost?
3,000.
$3,080.
Good. So here, perfect. Okay. Now I'm also going to sum up my total, so we already summed up our beginning inventory. Now we're going to sum up my total purchase returns and allowances. So how many items did I actually return in grand total? We only returned 100, right? We didn't make any other returns. Wait, we didn't make any other returns on July 21st?
Toys at the 20%. Which was $1.85, right?
Right. I'm just looking about the other two batches right now, so we didn't make any returns from there. Let's see. So it's the 20th. We purchased, return 50. Hold on, let me see how many returns are. So purchase, return. Oh, okay, we only have 2 returns. 2 returns and 4 purchases. All right. So then, okay. So we have a total of 100 items of returns at what total cost? $198.50. All right. So now let's plug in our answers here, or our totals here. Okay. So how much in total in quantity did I make a purchase of?
The purchases was $1,700.
Okay, at a total cost of, I'm sorry, purchase price? Total purchase price?
$29.95.
Okay. So once again, did we have some returns and allowances? Yes, we did.
100 returns.
100 returns at $198.50. Okay, so let's do our calculation here. Once again, we originally purchased 1,700, but we returned 100 items, so you should have 1,600 left. Okay, we started out with 2,995 worth of purchases. Subtract 198.50, we should have a total of 2796.50 left. Okay. Now next we got to add our freight. Once again, freight doesn't affect quantity, but it does affect the total cost. So we're going to add our 85 because now we got to spread that freight across. Okay, so here we have 16 plus 0, bringing me 16. And then now we have 27.96.50 plus my 85. So what is my total cost of my net purchases? Yep, 2881.50. All right. So next we're going to be looking at our beginning balances. Do we have a beginning balance?
Yes.
Yes.
6,600.
Good. We have 1250 at how much?
At 2,044.
Yep. Good. So now we already saw for our net purchases, so we're going to carry that down. So we're going to add these two numbers together because that's going to give us our total goods available. Okay? So again, 1250 plus 1600 is going to give us a grand total of 2850. Add these two numbers together, we have a total available cost of $4,925.50. Right? Given that,
Give me a minute to catch up my spreadsheet real quick.
say that again?
Can you give me a second to catch up my spreadsheet real quick?
Absolutely. Okay. So once again, this came from our top inventory on hand. We copied it down here, 1250 at 2044, right? We solved for our net purchases from right above, copied it down here, and then we just added up our totals. That's their goods available. Okay, are you good? Okay. So now we are given this context where we ended our inventory, right? Someone went down to the basement, took a physical count, and told us that we have 600 items left. So if I only have 600 items left, how many did I sell?
2,150.
2,000,
22.
yeah, 2,250.
2250.
Yes. Okay. So once again, I'm going to put a running balance in here so I know at all times how many I need to take out. Okay. Okay. So if I am looking at FIFO, which batch am I going to be looking at first?
The fifth.
The fifth. Okay. Do we have beginning balances?
Yeah, you want to go at your beginning balance before you go into what you already purchased.
Correct. We need to get rid of our old stuff first, right? That's why we carried it over. So in this case, how many batches do I have in my beginning inventory?
1250.
150.
Well, we have 1250 in grand total, but we have 3 separate batches. In this case, we know, right? We're probably going to get rid of all of it, right? Because how many items did we sell?
2250.
We sold 2250. So in this case, my beginning balance, just assuming, right, we're going to get rid of all 1250. You can copy and paste all of these numbers here because at the end of the day, what's going to happen? I'm going to get rid of all of them. So here, I'm just going to copy and paste so you know where these numbers come from and why I'm taking certain batches. So right there, okay. Copy them, paste them here. Okay, oop, okay, I guess I didn't go through. So this one is equal to this one, which is equal to this one, which is equal to this one. Okay, which if you've already calculated it, right, it should equal right 219, and then this one, I mean, I'm just gonna copy and paste them. We already know that this is 745 and this one should be 1080. So by knowing that information that we're going to get rid of all three batches, we can safely assume that we can just pull all three information down here. So we know we sold 1250 at a total of 2044. So we got rid of all of that. Okay. So now we can move on to our purchases. Okay. Now we can start from the 5th of July. We sold 500 items. I mean, there's 500 items in the first batch. Okay, so let's take a look. We need to sell 1,000 more items, right, to get to 250. So if we need to sell 1,000 more items from our first batch, how much do we have left, or how much do we have in our first batch? Anybody?
I'm sorry, I was doing the math up top. I messed up my sheet, so I was fixing it.
That's fine.
What was your question?
How much do we have? So we're done with our inventory on hand. So now we're moving on the batches to our purchases. What's our first batch? How much do we have in there in quantity? 500. Now, do we really have 500?
No, because we did a return of 100 of them, so we can only use 400 of that batch.
Okay, now let's look at this carefully one more time.
Oh, okay, wait a minute. Yeah.
That was for the second one. Okay, so the first batch we do have the full 500 items.
Right.
So in this case, I'm just going to copy and paste here, right? We know that we sold 500, and we know that it's going to cost me $8.70, right? No returns and allowances. So in this case, this should equal to the $850. Okay. All right. You can also multiply if you want to use that as well. If you want to do the
Oh, yeah, I had dates. I'm sorry, I had two different dates confused.
no worries.
Yeah,
Okay.
because you're doing that, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's she talking? And then I just went back to the
The scenario. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I said, okay, so.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Yeah, no worries. So that's exactly why it is so important that you do fill out the unit per item. Because in this case, I returned 100 items at $1.80. My first batch was $1.65. $1.65. No way does that belong to that one. It's gotta belong to the 180. Okay, so that's also one way that you can look at it. Now, what I've had many students do is they added a column in there for another date. So they can make references to exactly which batch that they took from and which date it belongs
That's what I
to.
was gonna ask, because I was gonna say, can we color coordinate them? Because I got confused too. Like I took some away from the other date as well.
Okay, so
I'm lost.
Okay, so from there, yes, you can do whatever you feel that it makes it easier for you to keep track of your inventory. In this case, my way of keeping track of it is that I cell reference my units or my cost per item or my unit price, right? What it cost me to purchase those items. That's my reference point. Okay. Nicole, you said you were confused. What are you confused about? That's from the cost per item right here.
Okay. I
Okay.
was looking completely at the wrong date.
Okay. So once again, because we're getting rid of the whole thing, you have a choice. You want to add it in there, then you can calculate it. But if you don't, because you know that you're going to get rid of the entire 500, and you know what that whole entire cost is going to be, it's going to be 850, regardless whether you calculate it or not. It's still going to be 850. Okay. So now that we are finally there, we have 1750. How many more do we need to go? Correct.
So we still need to get 500 more.
Yes, so 500 more to get us exactly to 250. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the second batch. Which one is our second batch?
The 800?
The 800. Now, do we actually have all 800 items?
No.
No, so this one is where we actually made a return for 100 items. However, that's 700 at the end of the day. So that's definitely enough to cover those 500 items. However, we're not going to take all of it. We're only taking some of it. So therefore, we got to do a little extra math here because now we have to compute this. Okay? So in this case, because now I made a full refund, I returned 100 items. Not only am I changing my quantity, I'm also changing my total cost. So in this case, I'm going to just go ahead and put it in here, right? I'm going to use parentheses so you guys can follow along. So the first thing is we started out with 800, right? And we returned 100. Okay? So that's 800 minus 100 to give you your 700, right? Now, I'm going to divide it by my new total cost. In this case, right, like I've mentioned before, how much did it cost you to originally purchase those 800 items in grand total? 185. That's per. It's going to be in total cost.
1480.
1480, right? If it cost you 1480 to purchase, right? However, you refunded 100 of those toys to reduce your account by 180. Okay? Now that I have this, right, I'm taking my new quantity, dividing it by my new total cost. So 800 minus 100 gives you 700. Divided by my 1480, which is my total cost for purchasing the 800 items, minus whatever I returned, which is the $180. And I'm going to get a new cost per item of, okay, that is wrong. That's not right. So let's do that calculation one more time. So we're looking at 700 divided by I can't do the math. 1480 minus 180. Okay. Oh, it is 53 cents? That doesn't make sense. All right, let me do it again. So my total cost is, for buying that, is 1,080. Okay. Minus 180. Okay, gives you 1,300. Okay, and this is supposed to be 700, right? Because 800 minus 100 is 700. So what is 700 divided by 1,300? Oh, no, sorry. Ha, I got it now. It's supposed to be total cost of 1,300 divided by the 700. Okay, there you go. That's where I went wrong. I flipped the formula over. Okay, so once again, the original total cost of the item of purchasing 800 was 1480. Okay? I'm going to subtract 180 because I returned it. Right? And I'm going to divide the whole thing, right? If I had 800 to begin with, but I returned 100 items, so therefore that's 700. Therefore, I should get a new cost per item of $1.8571428, and yeah, and so on and so forth.
Your formula again?
So once again, here you go. So I have to type this in because I need to make sure that I have my thoughts clear, right? Taking the total cost of the 800 items, subtracting out what I returned. Okay, same thing with the quantity. I started out with 800. I'm going to subtract out what I returned for 100. All right, so in this case, I'm doing two math problems and combined into one. Okay, I'm solving for my new quantity and I'm solving for my new total cost, and I'm dividing them by each other. Okay. All right, and we know that we have only 500 that we need to sell to get to 250, right? So now I'm going to calculate my new total cost, okay? So again, because we have not a friendly number, we're going to multiply these together, comma, 2, because I want two decimal places. All right. Okay.
I thought that was 700.
It's not 7. We if you sold all of it, then yes, you get rid of the whole thing, but we only need 500.
We had because we returned them.
Correct.
So it's 500. 935. I don't know why my cost came out different.
Okay, so it's 500 times the 1.85741 yada yada yada. So how did you calculate this?
Oh, that was the equation that you typed in, right?
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is I solved for the cost per item.
Okay, let me catch that one up real quick.
And this one, yes, once again, this is also another formula.
Okay, can you show me F19 again?
F19, this one.
Yeah, the equation. Okay.
Okay. All right. So, did you get 928.57?
Yes. Yes.
Perfect. Now that we got all that information, right? Now we can calculate our totals, and I have a total for selling 2,250 items. I have a grand total of $3,827.57. All right. So therefore, what is my ending balance going to be?
That would equal our 49.25 minus the 38.22.57,
Correct.
which is $1,102.93.
Good. 1102.93. Okay. All right. So I feel like Okay, I feel like this is a little harder for you guys to grasp. So tomorrow I'm going to show you maybe a slightly easier way to understand while using the same concepts, an easier way to keep track of your inventory. Okay? Does that
Page
sound?
down, please.
Say it again.
Oh, I'm sorry. Could you page down, please?
Page.
I want to see the bottom of this. Okay. I just wanted to verify that all my formulas came out correct, so I'm good.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Okay. Yes. So as far as that, I'm going to show you a little easier way to keep track of your information because this is kind of confusing because we're calculating left and right and all this stuff. So tomorrow we'll take a look at another way of looking at this. Okay, but this is how I calculate it. Okay. So again, tomorrow, stay tuned because might be a little easier when we move on to the next section. So let's go ahead. We finish our inventory worksheet. So we have one thing left to do, right? Question number 4 says journalize the transaction, okay? It does say journalize all transactions. Okay, well, anyways, we're just only going to do the adjustment for July 31st, okay? Because like I said, it's rinse and repeat as far as, journalizing each transaction. So in this case, number 4, what is my journal going to look like? All right, so it's July 31st. What is my,
Inventory,
we got inventory, good.
cost of goods,
Cost of goods,
purchase and returns and allowances,
purchase, returns, and allowances,
total purchase,
purchase
and
expense,
freight. Oh yes, sorry.
and freight expense.
And then I feel there's inventory again, but I'm not quite sure on that.
All right, well, we can always test the hypothesis. Okay.
Okay.
So you think inventory needs to appear again. So let's go ahead and solve our information. So what was my ending balance that I calculated?
$20.44? No. 1102.93.
1102.93. Good. What was my total cost of goods sold?
$38.22.57.
Good. What was my total purchase returns and allowances?
198.50.
198.50. Okay. What was my total purchases?
29.95.
29.95. Good. And what was my total freight?
85.
Okay. So once again, let's go ahead and test our hypothesis to make sure that our debits match our credits. Okay. So on my debit side, I have a total of 51.24. And then on my credit side, I have 3,080. All right. What am I missing?
The quantity on hand.
The quantity on hand, which in this case, what was it?
Um,
180.
Not 180. What was my
49.25.
49? Not that one. What was my quantity on hand? Or what?
1250.
Yes.
2044.
Correct. And look, now we match. So Felipe, you were on the right track. That is correct. Because we had beginning inventory. That's always first because we got rid of the beginning inventory. We didn't even keep it. Right? We sold it. That was the first thing that we got rid of. So in this case, we need to add it into our purchases, which is exactly what we did. We gathered up our goods available, right? We added up our total beginning inventory plus our net purchases. Well, in this case, just our purchases in general. Then we countered it against the other three accounts, which is solving for the ending inventory, solving for how many items we sold, and then lastly, also placing in there how much items I actually returned. So in this case, yes, that's exactly correct. Right? Any questions so far?
You said you're gonna have this up later so that way I can rewatch it.
Yes, but I have to re-record the first section, so yes.
I think the second one kind of helps out more because we end up with inventory at the end. You know, the first one we didn't have the inventory at the beginning, which, you know.
Okay.
I think,
Okay.
yeah, no. It's just it adds a like if we could always subtract the other inventory that we end, you know, for the but this
No.
one was a little more complicated to keep up with for me.
Okay. But once again, this is only 2 problems. We still got 4 more. And we're going to be utilizing the same concept over and over again. So, but this time, the next one that we're going to do is going to be LIFO. All right? So, let's prepare for that, okay? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this file. So, any other questions?